Hey guys, so I know I promised this video to you yesterday, but I actually managed to sack Neika's Nenso in a paid pull, along with a bunch of other fun stuff that I will get to eventually in a different video. But because I did that, I decided that I was going to max out her Gate 5 first, so that way I could show you Neika in her full glory. And while she isn't actually quite up to par yet, because I still haven't managed to max Gate 4, she's almost there, and I will have her there by the end of the week. But I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer, and I can already hit some pretty crazy numbers with Neika as it is, so I'm just going to go ahead and review her. So this is Neika in all her bunny glory. And if anyone has apparently missed this trend, apparently all of the best light mages are bunny girls. We have Nina, we have Aisha, and we have Neika, leaving Cheryl as the only bunny-eared light mage left I guess she'll get some bunny ears eventually. I mean, it's only natural, right, guys? But anyways, so as far as the skin goes, I actually quite adore it. I don't know why there is two set of bunny ears, but I can live with that. So let's get into her Kaigan. So, Neika is going to be a 5-5-3-5-5 Kaigan. And you don't necessarily have to max her Gate 4 before her Gate 5 like I would normally suggest, because Neika actually has a very powerful Gate 5, which I will fully explain once we get into a map. But as always, you're going to want to max Gate 1 for the raw stats. And maxing Gate 2, I wouldn't necessarily say Gate 2 is like a super high priority, because she's only going to gain 13% magic attack and 5 hit rate out of it. But Neika is one of the higher magic attack units, and you definitely are going to want to get that gate eventually if you want her to hit as much as she can. For Gate 3, you're going to want to get it up to get it up to 3, just because that extra speed. Neika is still sort of slow, and while I do have a 10 speed staff one right now. I do not have her VCR staff yet, which doesn't have any speed on it, which means I'm going to have to run a speed accessory, and I'll get into that with her equipment, or rather her gear build a bit later. As for her Gate 4, max it out for the stats, and her Gate 5 is going to upgrade a buff skill that I will explain in more detail once we get into the map. So, for her gear, I highly suggest regen armor for the armor, and I really like regen armor more than any other armor, explicitly because of that buff skill is going to be buffing your max HP, so the regen armor is going to become that much more effective, and because she has all 5 gates, she's going to be on the higher end of HP among your unit pool once you get her. As for the staff, you're going to want to use your VCR staff, that goes without saying. I do have a video coming up on Weapon Kaigan soon, but I need to get her VCR staff first in order to demonstrate something, and I won't be getting that until the end of the week, after I'm done farming the VCR stage, and then I pop it with mechanical visions. Anyways, for now, the Nina staff is going to work just fine, and if you don't have the Nenso or the VCR, because they are limited, Nina staff is going to work perfectly. And if you don't want to use Nina's staff, you can use the free Rebecca staff, or really any staff is going to work well. You're going to probably want to use it with the Light Dia Weapon Kaigan skill, and you don't necessarily have to know what that is. I will have a video on that up within about a week or so. As for the final item, so I do have Soul's Nenso, but I don't have his VCR yet, and I will probably run his VCR because it's 10 speed and 6 magic modifier. But the free version would be Kaya's free gear, which is going to give you 6 speed and 8 magic modifier. You can run the Fiona's VCR for a little more magic modifier and a little more accuracy, but I don't necessarily think it's necessary, and I haven't really run into anything that Neika can't just hit. So for sure, this is probably going to be your best free-to-play option, and that way you can use that Fiona VCR on another unit. I know Global also has that Chipmunk piece of gear, and that will probably work all the same. It'll give you a little bit more damage, but you also give up the accuracy for a little bit of, I believe it is Evade. For extra gear that she might be able to run, she does have her Easter gear, and this is a free piece of gear, and it is pretty good. I just don't think it's great. Namely because it does give human modifier, so you do extra damage versus humans, but that's only versus humans. And so, more of the end game enemies you're going to find are monsters, so it's not going to benefit you that much in terms of damage. It'll also give you additional healing and 5 speed, and I think 50 luck. Neika doesn't really use a lot of those stats, but it's still a good, decent piece of gear. It does have a weapon ability that I haven't unlocked yet because I haven't maxed it yet. But the problem with the weapon ability is it combines your physical attack and your magic attack for the actual damage calculation, and Neika just really doesn't have good physical attack at 199, as you can see there. Other options, the Fujika VCR is a great option if you don't want to use a staff and you want to use a piece of speed gear. This is definitely going to be your go-to option because it has that anti-magic and missile for the first 3 turns, as well as having 40 magic attack to help boost up her magic. You're definitely going to want to run a high magic attack item because she has really good magic attack multipliers with her. I can't remember what it's called, but that magic attack boost from the armor mage as well as the sage buff from the passives too. Other gear that you might want to run, if you don't want to run the regen armor, you can get regen off of Ultima's limited VCR, and this will give her an additional jump, giving her 3 move and 3 jump, which will help her traverse maps a little bit better. That's always an option. It's always a good option. You can also run the red Nina Bunny, which is going to give you 10 Dark Exploit, which of course is going to be basically the same thing as a magic modifier, just it only works against dark enemies when using a light magic attack. As for other options, you also, and I was thinking about running this, and this is 8 light, all damage, 8 accuracy, and 8 evade. And I think that's a good item. It's just, if you have her VCR staff, you cannot run it because then you won't have any speed gear on it. But if you are running Nina's staff, this is definitely a viable option. It is a free piece of gear from the 3rd Valentine's event, which included the Suzuka and Itsuki Job Plus. Saint Meteor, obviously, always a good option. There was one more in here that I wanted to go over. At least I think there was one more here I wanted to go over. I think that actually might be it in terms of good options for her. Of course, there's always going to be niche options where you might choose a certain piece of gear over another. I would say that you're going to want to get a max jewel item on her if you can fit it. And the reason I say that is because she's going to be burning jewels like no tomorrow because of her buff. Now, for her setup. So you're going to want to run her Armor Mage Job Plus main and sub, as well as her Reflection reaction, and I don't know if Neika has her Master ability in Global yet, but her Master ability is pretty freaking great. It's going to change her Reflection to a defend 50% of damage with an 80% rate, and that's pretty nuts. It's one of the best reactions in the game in terms of defensive reactions. Overall, it's just insanely good, and she also is going to get a bunch of other stuff from her master ability, including 20 agility and 30 magic attack. So you're definitely going to want to get your hands on that as soon as it comes out, if it hasn't already. Really, there isn't much else to say at this point. My Neika is almost maxed out, but not quite there, so the numbers you see aren't quite the numbers you'll get when you get her maxed out. And obviously, this will be done in ideal situations as always. I'm going to be running Cheryl as my lead today, and the reason I'm running Cheryl is because she is the optimum leader skill for a light magic team, and Aisha is probably your other good option, but Cheryl brings 40% magic and 20 dark exploit along with 40% HP, instead of 30% light all damage, 20% magic, 20% HP that Aisha brings. So let's go ahead and hop into the map here. So when you start off on a map, you can either go right into it with her Drain Dimension, or you can choose to buff yourself. Now, normally this buff would cost you 10 joules, but because I have her Gate 5 maxed, it is 0 joules. And what that just did is it raised her max HP by 15%, as well as added 40 magic attack power or magic modifier, and it also increased her joules spent rate by 30%. And that's the reason why this is going to hurt after a little bit. She's going to be using like 80 joules for her big attacks, and it's definitely not ideal, and that's one of the reasons why you want that max joule item. However, the damage that she is about to output is pretty nutty. So I am going to set it up here, and we'll just go ahead and show off the damage on some of these skills. Most of these skills do not have changes to their animations, so you don't really need to worry that much about that. And honestly, a lot of the skills have remained the same on the sub, as well as some of them have remained the same on the main kit, and they're all hitting pretty hard. These three right here are the real changes. So the AoE has been changed. Well, the cross actually is the same, and you might want to use the cross to increase her cast speed. She does benefit from it being the light element, so she's definitely going to hit harder against dark enemies with it and increase her cast times, but I don't really need to do that or worry about that on this map right here, because obviously it's not a particularly hard map. And the AoE has been changed to the light element, sort of like how Noah's Thunder AoE was changed to the fire element. And this right here is the new skill. The 80 joules for that AoE, and it is a small cross, and it is going to do a crap ton of damage. Now, Drain Dimension has actually had a small change. Drain Dimension has been changed to a light type skill, as well as gaining 70% magic attack instead of the previous 60%, and it also is going to give her an additional 50 dark exploits. So this is the reason why her damage is nuts. So I'm going to show you with a debuff and without a debuff, because there is a difference, obviously. Okay, so 13k, about 14k, right? Not bad. Not bad at all. Oh, wait. I completely forgot. So, there is a mechanic on this attack, and the more things are in the AoE, the less damage it does. It's sort of like Black Killer Masamune's Drain attack in that way. However, as you can see, if there's only one target in there and it's a dark enemy, she's hitting about 28,000 damage, which is pretty nutty. I'm pretty sure we can all agree, because there are definitely a lot of scenarios where a lot of units can hit these kinds of numbers, but there aren't that many units that have the starting joules to be able to hit these numbers with such minimum setup. Because think about it, right? It took 3 skills to set up, and 2 of them were just buffs, so she can stand in place, so her count, because of the way count works, her turn will come around faster. But it's definitely not super fast, but she's definitely going to be a great boss killer because of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Drain Dimension again and set up the next attack, because we can actually go a little bit higher. Because if you're running Cheryl as your lead, you are going to have access to this skill. And I will do a full video on Cheryl later. But this is essentially a debuff that's going to reduce the amount of light resistance a unit has. So now she's doing about 30,000 damage. It's upped her damage by about 2,500 in total. You obviously don't have to use it like this, but if you are in a large crowd of units, it doesn't hurt to use it like that, because all of her other attacks are going to do more damage than they did before, allowing her to just weed out a large number of high HP units. So let's turn that off, and let's take a look. Actually, let's go down here so we can get a good view of it. Let's take a look at the animation. And there you have it. Neika's now hitting 30,000 damage with relative ease and rather minimum amount of setup without having to gain any extra jewels. Now, the one downside to all of this is obviously she uses an insane number of jewels to get there, and she is going to have to collect after a couple of attacks. So, while she does do a ton of damage, there is that balanced aspect where she is going to basically just blow everything right off the bat, and then she's going to kind of struggle to get back in it. We can mitigate this a little bit with Hisham, because Hisham is a light unit, so it's very easy to place him in a team with Neika. But unfortunately, Hisham only can give Neika a total of 20 jewels per turn that she goes, and her skills are costing somewhere between like 60 and 80 jewels a piece, at least her really heavy hitting ones. So it's not really a perfect solution to that, and there's really no other great ways I can think of to really just shove jewels onto Neika and have her carry like I would like her to. Am I going to use Neika? Definitely. I mean, do you see this? She's adorable. She's everything you could possibly want in a light mage, and she's adding to the light mage team, which is now starting to get pretty great. I mean, think about it. We have Neika, we have Cheryl, we have Aisha, as well as having access to Nina and Mieliki and Hisham for support. Really, the light magic team has come together, and it's probably at this point stronger or almost up to par with water magic, and it's definitely exceeded fire magic at this point, and fire magic was insanely strong too. So light magic is probably one of the strongest magic teams in Japan right now. If you want a quick look at her skin, or a better look at her skin up close, there it is. I will not be showing the full Nenso. If you want to see that, you can go to the database, and if you look it up, there's a reason why I'm not showing it. I don't know for sure, but I am like 99.99% positive that it wasn't intentional how the Nenso was designed, but I still don't want to bring it up on my YouTube channel, just because this is a global YouTube channel, and most people who watch this channel are Americans, I assume. Though I know I got people from all over the world. That, or I have bots from all over the world, who knows. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching as always. Weapon Kaigan is coming soon. I promise. I've been doing everything I can to learn about it and get better at doing it. Although, I'm going to just warn you right now, it's pretty frustrating and requires a lot of RNG and quite a bit of Zenny, although not nearly anything compared to actual Kaigan. But, yeah, so I hope to see you guys next time.